Hi, and welcome back to Dirtbag Baseball Talk, everybody. Great to have you here for another episode with us. Annemarie, as always, Robin, as always, L4 map, agility, roadmap to success, and so much more for athletes, parents, coaches, agents, scouts, organizations as a whole is what they've designed and put together a phenomenal program that really does create a roadmap for each and every individual out there. Does it not, ladies?
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be. At the end of the day, we need to break it down to the individual. And that's what we've been talking about the last couple of episodes, right? So, Dirtbag Nation, today we're going to be talking about the athlete. Male, female, doesn't matter. The athlete. Yes, we're baseball, Anne-Marie's football, more experience and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we want to create athletes. So the best baseball players, sure. The best football players, sure. Stuff like that. But you want to be an athlete, because I think for me, when you're an athlete, that means you can play. And the key word, you said it another time, Robin, play, not work at. Sure, it becomes potentially a job for some of you, but the real athletes out there, they can still keep the play involved and separate the play from the work. Can they not, ladies?
Yes, absolutely. And if you don't do that, you're going to lose the love of what you're playing. You're going to lose that drive and that motivation you got when you first started playing your sport, whatever sport it was, right? We attach to a passion for whatever sport we get introduced to or that we align with. And then along the way, that play turns into that business formula and it gets the life sucked out of us, right? There's so much pressure and politics and all of these things. Really, we just need to go back to the root of how we started, how we were brought into this earth. We learn through play as we're little children. We play to gain awareness and acceptance. And then along the way, it becomes something else. And we want to get back to that love of the game because that's going to be your driver. And then everything else that falls around it can be managed.
Yeah.
And I would add to that is being an athlete, but almost in this world now, it's really becoming a resilient athlete. When injuries occur, you pick up and you move a couple times, there's always things going on, but becoming resilient and not letting those things take you down. That we work on some of those cues that, maybe in hindsight we can see, oh, okay, that came up, but it's becoming resilient and just almost letting just like the balls just bounce off you. Something comes in, boom, it bounces back off and away, and you are in your strength and fully, who you are, to be, because there's so many people that get injured, but they never quite come back 100%.
For
So
sure.
we want you to be strong. We want you to be resilient, and whatever gets thrown at you, that you just emerge stronger and you keep going.
And I think that's super important that you touched on that. And for this show, Dirtbags, again, we're talking about the athletes, but the series is beyond the noise, right? It's going beyond the noise. And I think if you haven't quite understood it yet, noise comes in a varying degree of ways, right? But the common denominator for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't happen when you become a pro. It happens all throughout your life. So that's what we really want you to understand, because you may be watching this show right now or whatever, and that you might be going through one situation that we talk about here. You may know somebody else that's going through a different situation that we're talking about or whatever, and that. But there's a variety of noise that impacts you positively and negatively. Positively, we don't think too much about it. We just enjoy the moment, right? But when it impacts us negatively, not a lot of enjoyment.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I love that you just brought that up, Kirk, because Annemarie and I just talked about this yesterday. The negative thing that you hear, right? It could be from a total stranger. It doesn't even have to be someone that's close to you. We will hold on to that and we will hold on to it forever. But all of the goodness that you hear about yourself, you will let that go and it flies in one ear and out the other. And we don't hold on to that positive stuff that gets said to us. That's really the thing that's going to push us forward. We hold on to that negative space because that's the thing that harmed us. That's the thing that hurt our soul. And we need to change that storyline, right? That means nothing. That is somebody's opinion. And unless it's delivered to you in a constructive way, it means zero, right? So we have to figure out a way to build up our confidence to let go of that kind of junk and really get back to what Annemarie said, the resilience of life. And I love that she brought that up because I'm certified in resiliency. And so this is like my jam. And I just want to take 1 second and kind of highlight resiliency because this is, as you cultivate resiliency, resiliency can be learned. It's not something that you are essentially born with, although some people may be born with more gene types that carry a resilient nature, but it's taught, it's learned. So there's tools to learn resiliency. But the one thing that I wanted to point out is being resilient doesn't mean that you have to get over something quickly. It just means that you need to work at something and make adversity your friend. So sometimes people confuse resilience with, I need to get over this quick. It's, yes, we don't want you to stay in a space, but we want you to use what's happening and then go forward. So choose to be resilient, choose to learn and cultivate skills so that everything that happens is happening for you and not to you.
Yes, yes, excellent. And before we get into some of the ways and the varieties of noise, I want to make sure that you understand, dirtbags, we started this 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. This week, yes, it happens to be Mental Health Awareness Month, right? In May. This week, though, what just came out, Robin, from the pro leagues? Just so you understand how valuable this series is.
Yes. So the Players Associations just came out with a collaboration, first time ever. It's the NFL, NBA, WNBA, NHL, MLB, and the MLS came together to highlight the importance of mental health in sports. So it's a very broad statement that was released, but at least there's the conversation. Things are happening. We'll see how that's going to take form over the next few weeks. But this is a beautiful thing that has happened because now that, people have made this a mission, like they're understanding the importance of it, action is going to be taken. We'll see how that unfolds, but this also needs to translate down to the youth level as well. In the youth governing bodies, there isn't anything that I can really find where this is in place, right? And that's where it begins, from the beginning of your life. And so that needs to be a conversation as well. How come there's not a mental health component in youth sports, right? And there's different levels that you can train the mind as a kid versus an adult. So this is a beautiful thing, but now we need to bring it down to our youth.
100%, because that's where it starts. Let's not fool around about that, dirtbags. You know me well enough. This is not something to fool around about. This is going on every day of your life, or potentially going on every day of your life. So that's where it starts. It doesn't just start to that player when they're in college or when they're in high school or when they're in the pros. That starts from the ground, the beginning. Unfortunately, it does. And what are some of the ways, ladies? I can think of one, and I apologize right now because we're going to be talking about you either next episode or in 2 episodes. Actually, either the next one and the next one. 2 for me. Parents and coaches are noise. Noise.
Yeah. Yep.
Positively and negatively. Don't think for a second you're not. We will dive more into that when we're up with those episodes. But there's 2 for me. What are some other ones that come out quite often when you're dealing with clients?
I'm just social media. We touched on it just a little bit of, made an awesome catch that day. Oh my gosh, that game, it was amazing. And then maybe the next game, they don't make that winning catch or that play. And then it's like, this guy's in a slump. Why are they keeping him around for? I mean, literally, in a week, he's a hero. And then the next week, he's like a liability. And it's like, it's a game. Like, give the guy a break. I've gone on social media and I had a post and I just said, all you armchair coaches, if you think that you can do it better than him, I'll call you out right now and say, okay, you go out and do it better than the pro. The guy, whatever way, he missed a catch, whatever. It's like, cut these guys some slack. It's hard. It's hard for me to sit back and be quiet, because Robin and I know the years and the effort and everything that these athletes pour into their sport. And then, to have somebody who just doesn't even know you start, popping off on the media. And then before you know it, 100 people all dove in. And then now, now you're suddenly the worst player in history.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you made that, because I'm coaching here in France, as everybody knows, and stuff like that. We had 2 games last weekend or whatever and we came out on the losing end, both games or whatever and there was 2, of course, at the end of the game or whatever ground balls hit to the outfield. Tough outfield. I'll be quite blank, quite honest. Tough outfield. Young kids I got developing. They're going to be great in 2-3 years. So I got to wait and just build the process. Bounced right over their gloves. Do or dies. Guy scores from second. We lose both games or whatever and that. Easy to look at those 2 plays and say they cost us the game. No, they didn't cost us the game. There's 100 plays within the game. Pitchers would get 2 out. Then they'd walk 3 guys. Did they mean to walk 3 guys? No, of course they didn't mean to walk guys. They could have dwelled on that. Guys didn't hit.
Yeah.
Could have dwelled on. It's just
I'll even go
to
farther.
blame one singular moment, right? And that's what we fall into, that one singular moment, instead of looking at the big picture.
Yeah, and I'll expand on social media, and I'll also just even go to the media. The people in media also drive me crazy, because but before the NFL draft, I mean, they're on there for weeks, speculating next season. Next season, is that going to be his year? The next season, what are going to be his stats? And it's like, what? The guy's in the off season. Why don't you leave him and his family alone? Let's stop projecting what he's going to be in 6 months of the next season. Like, the media is a huge problem as well. Yeah. And Robin, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah. No, you're going, girl. I mean, I love it. I can feel the passion. No, it's so true, because why are we putting pressure on a situation that hasn't happened yet? Good, bad, or indifferent. There's enough pressure in any sport. And these athletes have to deal with a lot, and they've chosen to deal with a lot. So why all this extra junk that's coming in from the media that's going to add more stuff? Don't listen. Just don't. Athletes, do not listen to the media, right? It's opinion and it's speculation. The people that will give you the constructive criticism of what you get to do to up-level yourself are the ones closest to you. The rest, again, that's the noise. And then I'll also just jump in and say, the organizations as well, they have a role. And I know we're going to talk about that in another episode as well.
That's another noise.
Has a responsibility to support, right? I'll just take a quick story, because we have a client that's in the minor league system right now and came back into the fold, and he went out of the fold because everybody decided to judge where they thought he was at. Nobody took the time, except for one person, to say, hey, you know what? Let's go to lunch. Let's go take a walk. What's going on? They're like, oh, he's this, he's that, he's done, he's out. It's so quick to just make an assumption about what's going on in someone's life. These players and athletes need and deserve support on a different level, besides tools, mechanics, what you can do physically to get better. Listen to your athletes.
Yeah.
Care enough.
Yeah, I get it all the time. Do more drills, do more drills, do more. That's not the problem. They don't mentally understand the expectations. They've never been taught that. They've been very, very good, and now this is the first time they have stumbled, had some adversity at whatever age. So the way to get through that is to educate them, to empower them, right?
Yeah.
One last part of noise that we often don't look at is husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. If you're in that age category, athletes watching this, that is vital that your partner at that moment in time, hopefully in life, understands, maybe not fully, but can understand enough to truly be able to support. That doesn't mean there's not going to be bad days, tough days. Of course, there's going to be tough days. But I think if you can understand that as well, along with the parents, the coaches, the agents, the associations, the social media, that can impact immensely negatively and positively. And I'm sure you ladies come across those types of situations.
Yeah. And it's interesting where they can be supportive, but yet our client was feeling guilty. There's that conflict. Yes, of course, see you in a couple weeks, but hang up the phone and then the player doesn't feel right, doesn't feel good. It's like, why do I feel good after I talk to my wife?
There's that noise, right? Because of the movies.
And it's even nonverbal noise.
And not just the movies, not just Hollywood, the reality of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that not only on the player at that point in time, the partner, the spouse, the whatever also impacts them at that point in time, right? Because you physically, visually can't see them.
That's right.
That's a lot of trust.
It's a lot of trust and it's a lot of support that you need as an athlete. And so that's why it is so important. And I'll say this word forever until I die, that your life is congruent. You get to focus on that relationship and make it whole and make it real and make it a communication between the two of you so that those types of conversations or expressions or whatever it is don't happen. Or don't happen as often, right? It's important. That's the work. The work that you put in as an athlete carries over multiple lines. It's not just in game. It's not just on the field. It's at home too. And that is just as important. And I would like to touch on this too, because when you bring this up, we have to come full circle with everybody. I am the wife of an international cross checker, and there's a lot of spouses or partners that are in the employee side of the sport, right? And we are the backbones to support them. They're on the road, they're gone. Scouts, they are gone a lot of the time. And so that's a lot of pressure on them as well too. And organizations aren't looking at the support of the single scout to the married scout and what they can do to support them as well, because also they need mental agility and help to be able to find the best players in the talent leagues. Players wouldn't be here without what I call the dream makers, which are the scouts, the people behind the scenes. But there's so many components to all of this. And that is why we need to have balance in our mental well-being.
Yeah, 100%. And one, to go full circle to the start of it. And I think this is super important because it's another thing that I believe has gotten lost in society around the world. And again, I've coached Canada, the US, now over in France, so Europe and stuff like that. Haven't covered the whole world yet, but I've got contacts like Cliff that you're talking about and stuff like that, and scouts and friends and stuff like that are around there, and you collaborate and you talk, right? So this one, all the way to the full youth. For me, I am not a proponent of everybody gets a medal. Everybody gets a medal. I think that is wrong. I think, to go back to the first of our show, the medal is, I went out as an athlete, or you went out as my child, and you played. That's your medal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Totally agree.
you don't learn accountability, commitment, effort. Oh, okay, I get it. I show up, I get a medal. No.
Yeah.
No. One of the greatest things that I heard was the last Winter Olympics. Norway, cold country, obviously. Winter Olympics, dominated Winter Olympics, really, really dominated Winter Olympics for the size of its country. Until they're 13 years of age, they're allowed to do whatever they want in an unstructured environment to learn if they love doing what they love doing. Cross-country skiing, downhill, bobsled, throwing a snowball, making a snowman. Unheard of in our part of the world, isn't it? You couldn't even wrap your head around that in North America.
No, I'm trying to wrap my head around it right now.
I know. Yep. Watching the Winter Olympics last year, and NBC, it was on there, and they brought that up. Norway. That's their philosophy. Is everybody going to be successful? Is everybody going to be an Olympic medalist? Not a chance. But they're going to know why they love doing what they love.
Wow.
Yeah. When my kids turned 5, I started signing them up for everything. Soccer, basketball, little league, baseball. They played everything for a couple years. And then it came to a point where I could see like, okay, gymnastics. I could tell then what my kids were, what brought them joy or where they excelled in. And then I said, okay, you know what? If you don't want to play soccer this year, that's fine. What would you rather do? And my son was a gymnast for 12 years. And he said, I don't want to play soccer. I want to spend more time at the gym. Great. And that was his passion and his joy. And same thing with my daughter. She said, I really want to focus on basketball. Okay, great. And then, but expose them to many things. Don't just put into one thing at an early age and say, you have to be this.
I think there's noise there as well. Another form of noise. All of a sudden you see a good little athlete, good little play. It ends up being a player in that sport or activity. Geez, Robin, geez, Annemarie, little Johnny and Sarah, they're good. Oh my God, they're good. Okay, we better spend $3,000 every month on training and everything else, and we got to get better and better and better. Or the over expectation of my child. I love this one too. Oh, my son or daughter really love it and they want to play it.
Yeah, and I would say,
no, they don't.
I would say by age 9.
Yeah. When they come to you,
by age 9, all the parents in the stands, they're going on full ride college scholarship at 9.
Yeah.
That expectation, it's already there.
But that's detrimental noise.
Oh,
and I'm just like they're 9, just keep cheering them on. Good job. You'll get it next time. Whatever. But just, let the process be instead of this controlling.
You're an athlete out there watching this episode. What do you tell the athletes? What do you tell the athletes? Recommend to the athletes. And again, we know if they're younger, it's tough to have your voice. Your voice is through text. It's not through what we're doing right here, actual communication. So I think that's one piece of advice. Use words.
Yes, absolutely. You sort of took the words right out of my mouth, because that is a lesson that took me a long time to get, is my voice matters. And as long as I'm saying something that I'm feeling or something that I believe, somebody gets to listen to that and support me on that. So use your voice in a productive way, right? We don't want to just talk. We want to be productive with our words. But if you feel something, you say it, and then believe that you can do anything you want. It just comes back to this. It's simple premise, but it starts with that word believe, because that is the thing. The belief gets taken out, right? There's 2 things that get taken out in professional sports. So if you're a youth and you're listening to this, it's play, the fun, and it's the belief, because all of those things that you hear as you're growing up will stick inside of you if you don't have mental training on how to push them away or use them to your benefit to strengthen your growth. If you don't have those tools in place when you're young, they will sit inside of you and they will fester and they will grow. And by the time you get to be a pro in your sport, you've lost the belief and the play. So a tool, How do you cultivate and continue to grow the belief in you?
So beyond
We
the
train
noise,
on that.
beyond the noise, play, use your voice, belief, Annemarie.
And I would say, whatever is going on out and around you, how do you want to feel? And what do you want to bring to your game? And I know travel ball, again, I'll just say with my daughter, we were on the road. We had 3 games that day. And the first game they lost. And the coach just ripped them one. I mean, it was awful. As a parent, it was really hard to hear. But we had weeks of this. The same patterns, the same things, same players, same positions. I couldn't take it anymore. So I, as a parent, said something. I walked right up to him and I walked up to the group of girls and I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, coach, can I talk to the team for a minute?" He's like, "Yeah, like I've had it. We're not going to win anymore, whatever." I just looked at the girls. I said, "Okay, girls, what do you feel right now?" "We feel awful. We played bad. Da 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 da." I said, "Okay, we have a choice. What are you going to do in the next game to win? Because you're going to win the next game. What are you going to do as a team and as an individual? What are you going to do?" I'm going to play better. And each one said something, and I just said, "Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go out and you're going to play like winners. Because right now what it feels to be a loser." So I said, "You're going to go out there now as winners and show me what it looks like and feels like to win." Walked away. And guess what? They won the next game. And then they won game 3 that day. They won the next 2 games. And the coach came up to me and he says, "What did you say to them?" And I said, I gave him an opportunity, to speak up, to have something to say. And I just said, "Okay, you know how it feels to lose. Now snap in how it feels to win."
Well, you covered what we just talked about, right? You
That's
brought
it. And they went on to win.
You gave
And
them
then
the
that team,
opportunity. Yeah, you gave
yeah,
them the opportunity to use their voice. You reminded them that it's fun. And yes, winning ended up being a result of that. But you allowed them to use their voice. You allowed them to think. Take the time to think. You asked them a question and then you shut your mouth. And you allowed them the opportunity to think of an answer. Sure, some of them probably guessed, "Geez, I hope this is the right answer." But you at least allowed them the opportunity to answer.
yeah. And
That's
then before
vital.
every game, I was their pump woman. The coach called me and he goes, "Okay, talk to the girls."
Yeah,
He stayed out of the locker room. He's like, "I don't even want in on this anymore."
yeah. So if you're an athlete watching this right now, you know what we're talking about is right because you've been in those moments. Not every moment is negative. Not every moment. Not every moment is positive. But the ones that you've been in, like the ladies we're talking about, you know how that makes you feel. Educated and empowered, and it brings back the fun of your sport. For me, one final one for you, because I think it's important, is what does your athlete look like when they get to that point with you? They've started. The only reason they're with you is they know they're in a bad place. And I don't like using that bad place, but that seems to be the common term of when they start this process. I'm in a bad place, right? But when you get them through there, and I want this because I want you athletes to watch and listen. What do they look like? And how do they react when you get them to the point of getting back to what we're saying? The belief, the voice, that matters. What does that look like, ladies?
They look free. They look vibrant, aware. They look like they can take on the world. You will see a different human being when you look in that mirror because they have allowed their life to open up, find new perspective, find opportunity, reappraise situations that weren't working for them and turn that into something that does. They look like they are living in freedom for their entire life and freedom within the sport.
And I would just say smile is a huge gauge for me. When they're not smiling, and if we're not having fun doing the work together, something's up. When they come on and they just crack that big smile, that tells me everything I need to know.
I love it when I'm doing Dirtbag Baseball Nation. I love it when I'm coaching. Exactly what you said. You can visually see it. Today was a great day. Today was a great day, not only for you, but for me as well.
Yeah.
That's a great day. And that's what we want to be a part of, athletes. If you're a parent, that's what you want to be a part of, your coaches and everybody else. We'll talk about you when we get there. You know we will. Parents will be up next week. We thank
So
you
much
for
to
watching
say.
this. We thank you for watching this. Please share it. Please subscribe to us. Please reach out to the ladies. Do not sit on the sidelines. Do not sit on the sidelines if you need this assistance, or if you think, or you know somebody that needs this. Share this. Please, this is vital to getting back to the fun. Because when you're fun, you do believe, you do use your voice, and you are literally capable of anything you want to be. And nobody has the right to take that from you. Nobody. Not me, not Robin, not Annemarie, not your coach, not your teacher, not anybody. So if you need that and you know it, get out of the sidelines, get in the game with these ladies, and start down that roadmap and get moving. Whether you're an athlete, a parent, a coach, an association, an agent, a scout, everybody needs something at some point in time.
And I would say age is limitless. I've worked with kiddos as young as 6, 8, 9, done a lot of work with teens. They are never too young to start putting some of these skills in place.
And if you're sitting on the sidelines deciding if this is something for you, you are just sitting on the sidelines of your life, and you are letting somebody come up and take that spot from you. You are handing over that spot on the team and say, well, I'm not worthy of this. Yes, you are. Yes, you freaking are. You are worthy of everything you want. And so get up, get out, and get after it. Like Kirk says, because it's so true. Do not sit on the sidelines of your life, because that's what you're doing if you don't take action on how to train yourself.
You're so fortunate to be on this earth. Do not waste a day. Do not waste one day, because that's why I came up with it. Get up, get after it, and get dirty. Roll the sleeves up, just like we're doing right here with this Beyond the Noise series. What we do every day in our life, with our families, with our teams, with our individual players, our individual clients, it doesn't matter. We have the privilege of living.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, live and be free. You have that right. And we're giving it to you. Subscribe to us, please. Share, please. Reach the ladies, please. If you're a parent knowing your child may be there, but you don't want to talk to the child, reach out to the ladies. Maybe to help for that free advice or whatever in the short term. If it's something deeper, you can go deeper with them. That's what it's there for. Parents, you're going to be up next. So be ready, because we're going to unload on you too. You got a lot of positives, but the negatives are really detrimental negatives. And all three of us have seen the impact that you can do as a parent. We want to get you going down the right road. So athletes, for this episode, we hope you appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed it. Again, like, comment, send your questions in to us. That's what we're here to do. That is what we are here to do. And until the next episode, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Always enjoyable.
Thanks,
Have a dirty week. You have a dirty week, Dirtbag Nation. And we're going to be right back here next week talking parents. Until then, get up, get after it, and get dirty.